Deere is pulling back from D.E.I. measures after some backlash from conservatives online. It comes just a month after similar move by Tractor Supply.
Harley-Davidson, just the latest company to drop diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives following a campaign by an activist. The company said yesterday it no longer has spending goals for minority-owned suppliers. It will drop socially motivated training for employees and would make other changes to back away from diversity programs.
The Japanese car maker cited what it called highly politicized discussions around corporate commitments to DEI. Toyota says that it will narrow its community activities to focus on STEM education and workforce readiness.
But Microsoft, yeah, they blasted DEI. They laid off the whole team. They said true systems change work, and it's no longer business critical to have a diversity, equity, and inclusion team. Things are changing, and they're changing very, very quickly. And I think a lot of these companies are starting to realize, well, one, they have to pivot to make a profit again. They have to make money. And two, that DEI doesn't work.
The world's largest retailer, Walmart, becoming the latest company to walk back diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. It will not renew a racial equity center. They will make sure that they don't feature sexual and transgender products aimed at minors, and they won't give priority treatment to suppliers based on race or gender.
And welcome everyone to the Insert Title Here show, episode number 7. Tonight, we are going to talk about DEI. Is it coming to an end, as we're kind of seeing in the news that's being reported, or is it going underground? Is it going to be kind of hidden from us, or what? And that's what we're going to just kind of talk about tonight and kind of just hang out and kind of discuss.
I laughed because you said go underground. I know back in the 90s, the underground meant you were like cool.
Yeah, in this case, the underground is not so much cool. It means they're trying to hide it because they can't keep it out in the public because of it being such a backlash that occurs with that.
Yeah. Oh, come on, Michael. Stick around for a bit, bud. Sorry.
Well, we appreciate you at least stopping by.
Yeah.
So we'll go around.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to jump in. I think so some people hop on the woke train because it lets you be righteous and it kind of feels like winning. Like when you get to call somebody out and be like, hey, no, you're not allowed to say those words. And then you watch them kind of cower and change their words. You get that little rush of, ooh, I just won something. Ooh, I'm important now, right? Now, for those people, it doesn't feel like winning anymore because Trump won. He won the popular vote. The culture's shifting. Elon Musk is dunking on people on Twitter. It doesn't feel like winning anymore. So for those people, they're going to quit. But a lot of people are true believers. Those people who are running the HR departments, they're true believers. And a lot of people have built very lucrative careers around DEI, and they are not qualified to do anything else. So I think those people are going to stay on the ship until it sinks. But I think a lot of people, a lot of your normies who are just, you got to understand, a lot of people pick their political opinions based on what's likely to get them social approval, not what's true. And I think those people are going to be like, oop, winds are shifting. I better change my opinions, but some of these people are true believers. That's what concerns me.
The mayor of New York, isn't he a hardcore leftist?
Yeah.
Oh, oddly enough, what's happening? Eric Adams, yes, he's been shifting in that he's not saying that he's going to assist in getting rid of all undocumented illegals, but he's going to help assist with the criminals.
Right.
Unlike the mayor of Chicago, that's simply saying, we're not going to assist at any kind of way. And the border czar is not even a real position anyway. So I don't even know what his legal stance is. Well, if the president gives out that power and authority to an individual, doesn't need to be an actual position that is a secretary position or a head of a department. Yeah, he can do that.
That's exactly right. So that's interesting. Politicians and corporations are interesting because corporations are kind of beholden to their shareholders. Their priority is making money. I think what they're finding out is that DEI doesn't make money. You're actually, if you focus on DEI, you're putting yourself at a competitive disadvantage because China's not doing DEI. Japan's not doing DEI. They're hiring the most qualified, best people they can get and trying to be competitive. If you're doing DEI, you're at a competitive disadvantage because you're putting unqualified people into positions, right? So if you care about making money and competing and you realize you're doing something non-competitive, you're going to stop. Politicians, they got to get elected. And a lot of this stuff, especially with some of this immigration stuff, people look around and they see their towns going to shit and it's not popular. And they're looking at the people in charge saying, hey, buddy, you better shape up or we're going to ship you out of town. You're going to have to find a new job. If you don't do the job, we're going to put in somebody who will. So these people who are accountable are going to change. However, some of these like HR, like Karen in HR, she's not accountable to anybody. She's a tin pot dictator of her own little kingdom. And so because there's no people who are not likely to face accountability are not likely to change. But the people who are directly responsible to someone, they're fixing it right now.
Yeah. Like,
so let's.
I was real quick. You said you brought politicians, and they got to change or they get elected out. I wonder about that because you got people like AOC who's done nothing for her area. Yet she just won a third fucking term.
Oh no, she did do something. No, she did do something for her area.
I mean, good.
I was gonna say because she ran Amazon out of there, so she did do something for her.
You got
crazy.
You got Pelosi in California, who's like the laughing stock of Congress. She won again.
That's
like,
crazy.
What will it take to get these people out of there?
Yeah, well, it's so crazy about AOC because her whole thing is, I want poor people. I want. She supposedly wants poor people to do well. Well, if you're a person who is poor and you don't have a lot of skills, you don't have a lot of job training, you don't have a lot of ways to compete in the economy, one place you can work and get healthcare day one and get a huge fucking bonus for signing up is Amazon, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they will hire people, and if you running Amazon out of her district is just for not only is that tax dollars that they're going to be paying, right? But it's also jobs that were going to be there that are not going to. There's people who were going to get hired that are now not going to get hired.
And that happened here too. They were going to build a fulfillment center in New Orleans, I think, or right near New Orleans. Politicians ran them out.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to go around the horn for introductions here. We'll start off with the co-host, Darnell Quiggley.
Hi guys, I'm Quizmaster Darnell Quiggley from Quiz Time with Darnell Quiggley on the Mr. Burger channel Tuesday nights. How are y'all doing?
And as he freezes up, I think he may have dropped.
There he is.
Oh yeah, there you are.
He's back.
Oh, it did freeze. Okay.
Yeah, briefly.
And it's not freezing on StreamYard for me, but it freezes here.
And then our now updated and new title of senior panelist, Theo Snodgrass.
Yeah, I'm Theo Snodgrass. You may know me from my stand-up comedy. You may also know me as the Touchgrass podcast with Theo Snodgrass, premiering episode 2, premiering live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you may know me from any one of those things, or you may know me from my appearance on this fine show. I'm happy to be here.
I'm not being threatened at all.
I just want everyone to know they're obligated to state that it's part of their contract.
Yeah.
So as we're seeing the shift, and it was before the election of Donald Trump that we started seeing the pushback from DEI. You saw companies that started really going deep into it. And it seems the last casualty of the self-inflicted wound of DEI is Jaguar. And the thing is they're definitely really doubling down on it, even though companies at the same time are abandoning it and getting it out of their marketing, shutting down DEI departments, firing the heads of their DEI programs. So it does make you kind of wonder, have companies realized that they're more responsible to their shareholders and not some kind of social score? Are we starting to see the pendulum swing? We'll start with you on that thought.
Okay, well, so the Jaguar example is interesting because when they dropped that ad and they released this fucking, frankly, transgender car. Can we call it a transgender car? Because
Yeah, I think we can.
the ultimate fucking macho brand, right? Jaguar, just a fucking masculine machine. And then they release it and it's like pink and they've gotten rid of all of the beauty and all of the aesthetics. And then they do this ad to promote it where they've all got all these like androgynous people just it's like it hits with immediate backlash, and they come out and they say, oh, we're focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's like, okay, they clearly hired a true believer, right? There's some true believer running their marketing department, right? Like somebody who really believes that this stuff is important and that they're doing important work. And that person is not going to change. And now they've invested so much money in this. They've got sort of a sunk costs fallacy. Like they probably gonna stick with it. I think the companies that are changing are the companies who have already read the writing on the wall. They sunk a lot of money into it. They did not get the returns they were promised. Because you got to understand, the DEI people pitched this they had all these bullshit studies that said the more diverse your workplace is, the more efficient your business runs, and businesses where everyone sits in a circle and talks about their feelings are good. That's good for productivity. That you're going to be so much more competitive because you're listening to everyone's ideas, right? And you're going to make more money. That if you're a corporate guy and all you care about is making money, you're like, yeah, sure, whatever's gonna make everybody happy, sure, yeah. But I think they're realizing, especially these brands like Tractor Supply, Harley Davidson, their core customer base does not want DEI. They do not want to mess with that. Like, think about your average Harley Davidson customer or the average guy who shops at Tractor Supply. If you live in a rural area or you ever have, you know the kind of folks who shop at Tractor Supply. Okay.
We have one near my house.
Yeah. It is not DEI people who are there. Like, you're not, how many fucking Harley Davidsons are you selling to, genderqueer, demisexual, disabled midgets? Not many. Right?
Well, no, because the brand, as much as they wanted to kind of shift the brand to make it not seem toxically male, they really were trying to shift away from that. And unfortunately, that just didn't work for them because it's one of those companies need to realize it's like, yes, you do have an underappreciated market because not everyone's going to buy your product. You have your core demographic that want to buy your product. And the thing is most of these companies are trying to go after that unicorn customer, that customer that does not exist and will alienate their actual customer base to actually try to achieve that unicorn.
Right.
Darnell, what's your thoughts?
I mean, that's what he's saying. Like, you got Tractor Supply, which I'm not a farm guy, but I go to with some regularity because they have stuff, help with bugs around your house and shit like that. And just general like yard maintenance stuff. If I went in there and saw some diversity hire trying to help me, well, let me rephrase that. If the diversity tried to help me, I would end up be telling them how to where to find what I need, or tell them what I like, because they would want to stand behind a little register and not move because it's a safe space for them. All these men in their cowboy boots and their work pants. Oh, it's so scary. Yeah. And I say that it's funny, but it's fucking true. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I had a buddy of mine. We went into Tractor Supply. He took his girlfriend, and she was one of those. Well, his ex-girlfriend now. She was one of those, people we talking about, and was big on your diversity and all this shit. And she stopped when we walked in and said, "I'll just wait for y'all outside." Because the people inside, she said she felt threatened by the people inside because they probably had knives on them, and they were just scary looking.
Darnell, can I ask you, what do you think she meant by scary? What did she think was going to happen if she went in there?
I don't know. I don't know, but this was her thing. She liked to start fights like that. She liked to do all these things that the left does. victimized himself and all this other shit. And we got back to the truck. And I was like, the fuck happened in there? Oh, they were just so scary. I just felt the just aggression in there was just too much for me to handle. I'm like, the fuck is wrong? I looked at my buddy. I said, why are you with this chick again? Like right in front of her. The relationship eventually ended like a day later, but he said, thank you for saying that, because I was too afraid to end it with her, because I was really afraid to get canceled and just lose my job.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But as was just stated, we're gonna go through a little bit here, and it says from Walmart to Toyota, major companies rolling back DEI policies.
Oh, I was hoping that Walmart is just going to hide it under a different name.
That potentially, and that's what I mean by, I think this is going to go into the shadows. It's not going to go anywhere, because as much as we would hope companies would stop playing in this game of a social credit score for the global market, unfortunately, too many countries have fed into this, and to be in a global economy, they have to kind of get on board with it in some kind of way. So they may still need to be stuck bringing in the policies to appease their overseas and multiple country customers, which I think is wrong. I mean, it takes away completely from the free market system.
It's dishonest as well.
Yeah, it is.
Completely dishonest.
Walmart. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish the article, because this will be good.
Yep. Walmart is the latest major U.S. company to announce a rollback of diversity, quality, and inclusion DEI policies, with the retail giant telling Newsweek that we've been on a journey and we know we aren't perfect. No kidding. The company confirmed it plans to stop using terms like Latinx, which is actually not liked by the Latino community. The Latino and Latina, the only ones that seem to be really involved in that is the really young generation, the victim generation. That's where I'm almost to the point of start calling them. It's just the victim generation.
Yeah.
And DEI, DEI in official communications won't continue the Racial Equality Center. It founded in 2020, and will ban any sexualized or transgender products marketed towards children.
That last part should have been done before this.
Most
should
definitely.
Never even been a question.
Yep. The move follows President-elect Trump's victory in November 5th, in which he picked up 312 electoral college votes against 226 for Vice President Kamala Harris, and won the popular vote for the first time in 3 elections. In October, Wall Street Journal reported that Trump was planning to ban certain DEI initiatives if he won a second term into the White House. But the thing about it is that those policies can only affect federal. So it federalize federal jobs, so all the training that's happening, let's say in the Pentagon, he can get that rid of that stuff that's happening at the IRS, the FBI, the CIA, those types of trainings, all of it throughout the military. He can get rid of that, but it's up to the companies themselves whether they want to get rid of it or not. And again, it makes me think that they're just going to hide it.
I agree.
Yep. And this is actually so this is an interesting idea. So wokeness is kind of like a reskinning of communism or Marxism, right? That's where it has this idea. And Marxism actually wasn't new when Marx thought it up. Okay, so I'm gonna do a deep cut here. Okay, so
you are
the core of Marxism is resentment, right? So resentment is what it's all about. It's you have stuff that I want, and I think I'm smart and I deserve to have it, but I don't want to work for it. So I think you should just give it to me. And if you won't give it to me, I'm going to force you to, right? That's what it comes down to. And so this idea is actually as old. It's in the Old Testament. It's literally in Cain and Abel. It's in Genesis, right? That's the story of Cain and Abel. Like Cain looks over at Abel, is like, Abel's doing better than me. And he turns to God and it's like, what gives? And God's like, I don't know. Have you tried working harder? And he's like, fuck that. I'm going to kill him and take his stuff That story is about that idea of resentment. And when you have people who are resentful and don't want to work hard, you got to get those fuckers out. You got to banish them. You know, that idea is so old. We've had that idea is in ancient wisdom, right? And but here's the thing. Cultures kind of go through the cycle where they figure out it's a bad idea and they get rid of it and they never want to see it again. And then it rebrands and comes up again, because you're never going to run out of resentful, lazy people who want to take other people's stuff. They're never going to run out of that. There's arrogant, narcissistic, people who want to break down boundaries. And what's so crazy about because one of the things they mentioned, right, is trans, no more gay and trans stuff for kids, which it's wild that was ever even a thing. And the fact that they're saying, oh, we're not going to be doing that anymore. The fact that they were doing it at all is crazy. And what's so interesting about that is every single country where communism has been a serious issue, there has been a concert, or where communism has been the dominant ideology, there's been a concerted effort to lower the age of consent. Seriously, if you look this up, all of these communist thinkers, all these intellectuals that contributed to these ideas, they all thought, maybe having sex with kids is okay. Right? Because it's not about, they don't care about kids, right? It's all about that kid has something that I want sexual access, right? So it's all about what I want. It's not about other people. It's about what I want, right? So all this stuff is not really new. We like to think that it's like this new hip progressive idea. It's not. It's a rebranding of old ideas. Right. And so when you're saying you think it's going to go underground and pop its head up later, I think you're exactly right. I don't think the true believers are going anywhere because they think they're right about this. They really believe it.
It's one of those, they truly believe that they're going to be right in the long term. But this is the same thing. This is the same people that said all these communist countries have tried in the past, but they've never tried true communism. We'll do it right this time. We'll actually do true communism. It's the same. It's the same thing.
Yes. Yeah. It's the same idea. It's like, I'm smarter than Joseph Stalin. I'm smarter and more capable than Joseph Stalin. It's like, fuck you, Karen, with your fucking degree, your master's degree in gay crying therapy. You're not better than Joseph Stalin at running a country. You're not.
So I do think it's going to go underground, but I do also I'll add a caveat to that. I think some companies are going to get rid of it altogether because they're not stupid. Those are ones that are not stupid. They're going to be like, look, we can hide this. If people find it out, we're done. So they're going to get rid of it. Some like Walmart, or I feel Walmart will hide it. And then find a way to spin it when it finally comes out that we never got rid of it all along. Because someone's going to have enough. Someone back in the background is going to say something, and it's going to leak out that Walmart's still doing it.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, you get enough people out there that are going to bring it up on the companies out there, especially if it's a disgruntled employee that's getting the brunt of the, not necessarily the abuse, but if things are going completely against them, and so they're the one that's marginalized. Yeah, people are going to speak up about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Over the past couple of years, a number of major companies have faced conservative boycott campaigns over their alleged woke policies or ads, including Bud Light, Target, and Disney. I take a little bit of dislike with that statement right there, because it's not just conservatives that were boycotting. It was the customer base, their actual customers that pushed back on it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where they lean. They shouldn't be saying it that way. They should say it has faced customer boycott campaigns.
Because I was for a lot of my life, I was very libertarian, live and let live. If you want to marry your dog, go nuts. Like, I didn't give a shit what other people were doing. But when I walked into Target and right there in the front of the children's clothing section was all this trans stuff and fucking bathing suits that allow for tucking for kids, I was like, wait a minute, pause, time out. No, that's not, I think a lot of people drew the line with kids. Like that was a bridge too far. Like do whatever weird shit you want to do in your adult life, whatever. Cause I mean, I'll ask you guys, you know, this is a pretty based show. Do you guys give a shit if a man wants to wear a dress at his own house?
No.
I don't care at all.
Go for it.
No.
Right? Just don't put my kid in a dress.
Yep.
Do what the fuck you want. Have fun.
Yeah. As an adult, you have that ability here in America to do as you please. But the thing is the moment you infringe on someone else, that, and especially when you infringe on kids that are minors, that's where it's like, no, that's a no-go. That's the red line.
Yeah, 100%.
Newsweek has produced a list of companies that have abandoned or rolled back DEI initiatives over the past few months. And this is the reason I picked this article, so we can go through all of them that they are aware of, that they're aware of anyway. So you have Walmart. Yeah. On Monday, the Associated Press reported that Walmart was rolling back. Well, it's not the only. So prices are clearly not the only thing that they roll back at Walmart. Rolling back a number of DEI initiatives, including not renewing its Equality Racial Center and declining to give priority treatment to suppliers when it comes to race and gender. The company was also reported to be pulling out of the Human Rights Campaign Foundation Corporate Equity Index, which rates workplaces based on an LGBTQ plus inclusion. That in itself is pretty big too, if they're pulling out of that.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the whole social credit score that is being tried to be put. They already have it in China, and they've been trying to get it instigated here in the US by doing it first with companies. Once it's into the company level, then they would bring it into the personal level.
Yeah.
A Walmart spokesperson confirmed the changes to Newsweek and provided a statement from the company. We've been on a journey and we know we aren't perfect, but every decision comes from a place of wanting to foster a sense of belonging, to open doors to opportunities for all our associates, customers, and suppliers, and to be a Walmart for everyone. Now, overall, go ahead.
I worked at Walmart back in 1999, 98, 99. I shopped there quite a bit because it is the only place in my area you can go to get pretty much everything you need in one place. I was the kid with the green hair and the fucking piercings and the weird clothes and shit in high school. And when I worked there, Walmart was a place open to everyone and gave opportunities to everybody. They did not discriminate based on how you looked or anything. The first place I worked that wasn't like manual labor. It didn't care that I had earrings in my ears. It didn't care that my hair would be a certain color. They didn't give a shit. So to me, this comment is fucking dog shit. It's a cover your ass comment.
Yep.
And then the part where we're not going to give priority treatment to suppliers, that says you've been doing that.
Yeah.
Which is fucking illegal.
Yep. It's
sorry.
They definitely were just completely they're telling on themselves overall.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times these companies in their apology and walkbacks usually tell on themselves. We see it so many times. And it's also a matter of projection too. Point out what your other people are doing that you're doing to put the blame or focus on someone else. I mean, we were seeing a lot of that when it comes to this, the presidential election race that happened this year. Well, it's happening. It's actually happened the entire time Trump has even been running for office. It always was, he's going to do this, he's going to do this. And at the same time, you can go, but that's what you guys are doing right now.
Right. Well, and Darnell, you're so right. It's like, imagine if I came on stream and I was like, all right, guys, I've got great news. I'm going to stop fucking my couch cushions. I'm going to stop today. No more fucking my couch cushions. I'm not going to be leaving splooge stains all over the floor. You know, it's going to be fine. Right? Buried within that is the admission that I've been doing it up to this point. Right? That's what I wouldn't have to stop if I hadn't started.
JD Vance, settle down.
You know, if it's good enough for JD Vance, it's good enough for me. He's the vice president, God damn it. It's like It's,
Kids, you want to be a vice president? Fuck your couch. I'm kidding.
That's right. Hey, man. That's
Hey,
so
no. As long as you get written consent beforehand from the couch.
right. Can you imagine? Like, think about that. Think about what that's doing to the marketplace, right? And I have some tie-ins for this that we can get to, but I imagine
Couch
what
sales,
it's like
couch
to be.
sales are going to go up.
Yeah, imagine what it's like to be just a guy who's trying to run a business. Like, you could have the best prices, and they're overlooking you because you don't have the right plumbing or the right color, right? So
Talk about giving a love seat at a brand new meeting.
Well, it's funny you brought that up. Small business. I'm going through that right now, not because of my plumbing, but because of who I am. My ex takes every chance she can to trash my business.
Yeah.
And I see people constantly bitch all over the internet in this area. We need this service. We need this service. The people say, we do have this service. This guy does it. $5 a delivery. It's not $30 a delivery like DoorDash and Waiter, but people won't use me because they disagree with me.
That's crazy to me. The whole point of capitalism is one of the cool things it's about there's a point Milton Friedman, the economist, used to make. The cool thing about capitalism is it gets people who otherwise wouldn't like each other to work together because it's good for making money. Like, I fundamentally, like, if you're the best option for me to make money, I don't really care, what your politics are, what your color is, what your gender is. If you're the best option with the best product to make the best money for me, then we're going to work together. It cuts across all of those lines. It just gets people to work together. It's a great thing in that way. But when you start trying to put politics into it, it gums up the gears. It makes things less efficient, more expensive. And, would you look at that? Look around in the country right now. What's happening? Prices are going up everywhere. Boeing planes are falling out of the sky.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
No good. It's like, geez, we wonder why everything sucks.
Yeah, it's so. The next one on the list, Ford. According to the marketing website Ad Age, in August, Ford announced that it was withdrawing from the Human Rights Campaign HRC Corporate Equality Index, another one that was involved in it, shifting some of its corporate sponsorships and committing less on political issues. In an email to staff acquired by the anti-DEI campaigner Robbie Starbuck, Ford CEO James Farley said, "We are mindful that our employees and customers hold a wide range of beliefs. The external and legal environment related to social issues continue to evolve." Speaking to Newsweek, a Ford spokesperson confirmed that the company had withdrawn from the HRC's Corporate Equality Index, but insisted that there has been in our commitment to foster a workplace anchored in respect and inclusion. They added the move was not in a response to external pressures or efforts by Mr. Starbuck.
Bullshit.
They told on themselves.
The Ford had, like, if you read this one's good. This one's a good one until that last line. They're not in response to external pressure. Bullshit. We're not selling shit, and you want to sell cars again.
Yep. That's going to be the response for a lot of times, is that the companies are making the changes because you want to know what they have. If they're a publicly traded company, they've got the shareholders to deal with. We'll see it in the list, and we'll bring it up again. It's that Target's facing right now a lawsuit by the shareholders. They tried to get it dismissed, and the court said, no, this lawsuit can continue. Lowe's. This one was actually a shocker to me. In August, the Associated Press that the home improvement retailer Lowe's was scaling back its diversity, equality, and inclusion policies. Lowe's said it would stop taking part in the HRC Corporate Equity index and would combine resource groups for minority groups into one umbrella organization. So instead of having all these different ones, they're just going to put it under one umbrella. But still,
they're just renaming it.
Yep, this is an example of the renaming it or hiding it and what its purpose truly is.
Yep.
Which
I mean,
is a little bit.
They did say they'd step away from the HRC thing, but yeah, they're just moving it from here to here under this title.
Yep, it's the shifted away, so they don't see it. It's not out there. It's not going by the dreaded DEI title that everyone is focused on and looking at and noticing that this is what's hurting companies, hurting the bottom lines, and actually getting people to not show up to their stores anymore. Tractor Supply, Darnell's favorite. You want to read this one?
Sure. Tractor Supply announced in June that it would eliminate all internal diversity, equity, and inclusion roles and stop sponsoring non-business activities such as pride festivals. I did not know they did that.
Yep.
The company also said it would withdraw from the HRC's Corporate Equality Index and drop carbon emission goals, instead focusing on our land and water conservation efforts.
Imagine explaining to someone in 1996 that Tractor Supply was going to be sponsoring gay pride festivals.
Never
imagine that.
No, I couldn't.
Like, the fact that they ever did that's just a sign of how crazy society got there for a second.
And what's nuts about that is the one I go to. Well, there's a few of them around here, but the one I go to, I can guarantee you, not one fucking person. Well, let me change that. I can almost guarantee you, not one fucking person who would have fit into all that DEI stuff ever applied to work at that one. I can almost guarantee you. Or if they did, it wasn't one who was. It was a right-leaning one who was like, "I need a fucking job. I'm gay, but this I like their shit."
Yeah, that's such a great question. Who was this for? Like because it can't have been. It's not for the customers. It's not for the employees. They must have been trying to get like capital from one of these big investment firms or something like that. That must be
right
what
there. HRC. This is all about the corporate social credit score.
That's it.
That's what this is all kind of revolving around. And so companies that were getting involved with this social credit score system, they're the ones that you saw that have been coming out and now backing off of it because it's hurting their bottom lines, and people are pushing back on doing this. But this all comes down to corporate credit scores.
I mean, people are pushing back. There's no external pressure here. What are you talking about?
John Deere. Now, John Deere is one that's having a lot of problems right now, from the fact of ripping off farmers to making them not be able to use their equipment or even repair. The farmers aren't even able to repair their own equipment.
Turning into Apple.
Yeah. Let's see. Other things that the equipment problems is that a lot of it is because of the automation that they're putting in there with the technology. They have to sit there and wait for someone else to come out and fix their equipment. It isn't like it was in the past where they could just fix it themselves and go on. Almost having to do something that may be discussed in a later episode of the movement towards subscriptions for everything, just to be able to use the product you bought. HP is an example of it. They're going through it right now, and I think that's definitely going to be something we may discuss. Yeah. Either later in this episode or in a later episode. So John Deere, in a statement published on X, formerly Twitter, they got to stop doing that. Everyone at this point knows what X is.
I was just thinking that exact same thing. I fucking hate seeing that because everyone knows it's X now.
Yeah, everyone. You don't need to keep saying formerly Twitter.
Ooh.
In July, manufacturer John Deere said it would no longer participate in or support external social or cultural awareness parades, festivals, or events. The company also reaffirmed that within the business, the existence of diversity quotes and pronoun identifications has never been and are not company policy. I kind of feel like that's BS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a thing where it's not explicitly the policy, but if you didn't do it, they were going to fuck you. You know?
Yeah. Figuratively and literally.
Yeah, they were going to like that. That's one of those things. It might have been one of those things that was applied by social pressure so that they had they're just covering their ass. It's just like Darnell was saying earlier. They're just covering their ass.
But if you notice this statement from John Deere said nothing about the HRC, which means they were never involved in it, or they're not dropping their scoring.
Or they don't even want to mention it because they're afraid to be connected to it.
Yep. Molson Coors, another fucking beer company. In September, Bloomberg News acquired an internal Molson Coors memo in which the company said it was withdrawing from the HRC Corporate Equity Index and supplier diversity targets and stop linking executive compensation with employee representation. Wow, you got a bonus if you checked a box.
Or if you hired a certain amount of people that fit the boxes, you got a bonus. That's fucked up. You're gonna find my beer company is not listed in any of this.
Meritocracy is just, we need to return to it. So it's merit based. You do a good job, you get promoted. You do a good job, you get better pay. The way it should be.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's crazy about this is you got so many qualified men who are not working, or they're unemployed or underemployed right now. There's guys who are qualified, like our dear Darnell Quiggley right here. We got guys who are qualified who have experience, but because you don't check a box, you're getting passed over. And, you know, Darnell, you have experience as a cop. You're getting passed over for police jobs for some, you know, dinky little girl, you know, because she checks a diversity box. I guarantee you it's girls getting hired over you, you know. And by the way, good luck if they have to arrest a man over 6 feet tall. If that happens, it's because he allows it.
Yeah.
One we've already discussed, Harley Davidson. In August, Harley Davidson announced it would no longer take part in the HRC Corporate Equity Index, prioritizing minority suppliers, own suppliers, and conduct social motivated employee training. The motorcycle manufacturer also said it hasn't had a corporate DEI function since April.
Crazy.
Well, yes, because Harley's really going through it right now too. Even prior to the announcement and the finding out about their involvement in DEI, they've been struggling.
Yeah, I mean, it's their own fault. I mean, for the same bike, I can go get a Suzuki or a Honda and pay like a fraction of the price. You know,
I want Subaru to start doing motorbikes.
I'm not talking like a Rice Rock. I mean, like a cruiser bike.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know you're talking about too, but like when you say Honda or Suzuki, people are like, oh, you like crush rockets? No, they do make cruiser bikes, and they're a lot fucking cheaper than a Harley.
Stanley Black and Decker. You want to take this one, Darnell?
Sure. In September, power tool manufacturer Stanley Black & Decker removed the references to equity training workshops, multi-million-dollar funding for racial equity groups, and LGBTQ plus campaigns from its website, according to the Daily Mail. These included references to $10.5 million available for racial justice activists and the company's racial equity roadmap.
They make tools. They make tools.
But the thing is did they really get rid of it? Because it just says here, they just removed it from their website.
Yeah, so they might still be doing it, but they're just not advertising it.
But they're not advertising it. That's the other thing that it seems like they may be doing with the whole point of putting it in the dark, putting it in the shadows, putting it off to the side. We're going to jingle our keys, stop looking over in that direction where we shoved DEI, because we're still going to do it. but we just don't want you paying attention to it, and that's why they take it off the website. All indications that they're doing it have been wiped.
So how can we keep our social credit score without pissing off our customers?
That's the thing. They already pissed off their customers.
Yeah. Good luck getting your customers back after this fiasco.
Yeah.
You got a whole generation of men that are never going to crack open another Bud Light again. They're coming up. So I'll save that.
Yeah. Toyota. Toyota. According to the HR Grapevine website, in October, Toyota announced in an internal email, notice how these are all internal emails, internal memo, that it would withdraw from all its external DEI measures, external, not internal, including the HRC Corporate Equity Index. The document said, when we find something that does not align with our values and strategies, we will address it directly. But again, external was the word used.
Right, which means internal, and internal is who they choose to hire, right? Who they choose to promote, what they choose to screen for when they're looking for people to put on management track, right? All that stuff is and what suppliers they're going to use. All that stuff is the same.
Yep. Now Darnell's favorite beer brand.
Theo can take this one.
Yeah,
if you like.
Yeah. Bud Light was one of the companies most impacted by a conservative boycott. I'm sorry, what they mean to say is a regular, normal thinking person boycott. That's what they mean to say. Beginning in April 2023, in response to its collaboration with transgender influencer and man Dylan Mulvaney. According to the Harvard Business Review, in the first 3 months of the boycott.
Oh no, your mic cut out. Oh,
the cat, huh?
You see what I'm dealing with over here? Gosh dang it. It switched my mic too.
Anyway, quality production here, folks.
According to the Harvard Business Review, in the first 3 months of the boycott, Bud Light sales and purchase incidents were about 28% lower than the same time period in the prior year. Bud Light recently released a new commercial featuring comedian Shane Gillis, who was fired from Saturday Night Live after only a handful of episodes because of controversy over remarks he made on his podcast, including a racial slur about Asian people. You see how they just sneak that in?
Yep.
Yeah, they just sneak that in. They just take a shot, a completely unwarranted shot about Shane Gillis. They're like, they used to work with this wonderful, poor, innocent transgender, and now they're working with evil racist Shane
the guy
Gillis,
who was fired for making racial comments.
Which is
a comedian.
Was it said in a comedic setting? The comments he made?
Yeah.
Yes. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that pisses me off so much.
Yeah, they must have thrown a lot of fucking money at him. Not to say he can like pick and choose who he wants to be a sponsor for, but for him to be a sponsor with these guys after the shit they pulled, they must have thrown a truckload of money at him.
Well, I think it probably did. And the commercials are good too.
Yeah, I have to actually say when I saw that commercial, I'm like, yeah, okay, you got a good commercial on this one.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the wrong commercial.
and he's actually a Bud Light drinker, so I don't think that was a tough sell.
Okay.
So when they were looking for, if you watch him on Joe Rogan podcast, he'll crush fucking 20, 30 Bud Lights in a 3-4 hour period. That man can really put him away. He's a big guy and he's a big drinker, so it was a no brainer for them. And so I look at that like, that's probably smart, and it's big money for him, so I understand why he'd do it. But think about like how much worse off, how down bad they must have been after that Dylan Mulvaney thing, that they would do such a hard pivot. I don't think they're getting any customers back. Anyway,
and we gotta welcome in Tiny.
Whoa, who's that?
Hi everybody. Sorry,
Who's that?
totally didn't realize I'd been invited for tonight till I would already passed out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
How was the
fine.
dentist?
It's not MSK, so it wasn't a dentist this time.
Okay.
You guys see what I'm talking about? How hot girls
Yeah.
just like do whatever and face no accountability.
Hey,
This is why
I would
women
give you
don't
the
show
same.
up on time.
No. Wait, if you had shown up late too, I would have been giving you the same thing. Hey, you want to know what? You got here when you got here.
No. This is why women don't show up on time to anything. This is
Okay.
why you go on a date and they're 20
I
minutes
normally
late.
don't do almost
It's
anything
because-
on Fridays.
No.
Fridays are separated for me to light candles, do Shabbos, and I tend to actually I have a friend that I meet every Shabbos to watch anime with.
I'm hearing a lot of
we talk Jew
excuses.
shit.
That's what
So
I'm hearing.
That's my
lot
Friday
of
night
excuses.
normally.
No accountability. Not anyway. I don't have time. This is a different topic. This will be on my show tomorrow. Talking about this. Anyway, let's say in an article for British online magazine Unheard, writer Oliver Bateman described the move as corporate America's way of declaring the progressive revolution is officially over. Amen. Bateman added, the timing of the ad, which follows Donald Trump's victory in the presidential election, feels right on schedule. Gillis, with his aw shucks demeanor, they're calling him stupid.
Yep.
That's what that means. Aw shucks demeanor and decidedly un-PC comedy, they're calling him racist again, represents exactly the kind of normal guy sensibility Bud Light desperately needs to appeal to after alienating its core audience. Newsweek contacted Walmart, Lowe's, Tractor Supply, John Deere, Bud Light, Molson Coors, Harley Davidson, Stanley Black & Decker, Toyota for comment via email or press inquiry form on Tuesday outside of regular business hours. Okay.
That's a little bit shady of Newsweek to do that.
Yeah, we contacted them outside of business hours. No one got back to us, so it's their fault.
No. I get it. That is a common thing to state. Like when you did it, because like people will read like, why didn't they fucking respond? That's why. That's why it kind of gives the reader like a little bit of like a hey, and look, it said look they updated it later.
Yeah,
they say they updated with more information.
Well, I have to say, I recently learned that John Deere actually is seriously fucked up. That they
were just talking about that.
They put all of these extra computer parts and everything into their tractors, and then no one's allowed to fix those fucking tractors except John Deere guys, and you have to wait for them to. Oh my god!
Yep.
They're Apple. They're Apple now.
Holding the farmers by their balls, and it's obnoxious as hell. And I just found out about that.
Whoa.
They're the Apple of farm equipment. I say that as the Apple consumer. They're Apple farm equipment.
I'm just hung up on that.
I mean, I'm a big Apple fan too. I do eat apples. I mean, they're very tasty, especially
really good.
Yeah.
The sugar bee ones are the best.
Dude, I'm kind of hung up on that ball gripping imagery, to be honest with you.
So amazing.
Ball gripping imagery?
What?
No.
Theo's in his own world at the moment.
I'm sorry. As soon as she said they had the businesses by the balls, my head went to a different place. I'll be honest with you about that. It might be the corset in the photo.
I'm not saying this is a beer snob or anything, but like Bud Light tastes like fucking piss.
I've never actually really liked any American beer except for like microbrews or like something tiny.
Have you tried Yingling? That's really fucking good. It's
I
almost
haven't
like
tried Yingling because I gave up on beers before it became popular.
Well, it's not available in the West Coast either.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm honestly like when I was little, my dad would let me try his Bud, and like my uncles would let me have, and I was just like, this is shit. But then when I was 12, I went to Germany, and in Germany at 12, you can drink hard cider. And so I came back to the US talking about hard cider, and everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then 7 or 8 years later, suddenly it's the biggest thing. I'm like, what the fuck? I could have been so popular, but nobody knew what I was talking about back then.
I don't like dark beers, but it's a dark lager, and it's really fucking good.
Okay, cool. Like, there was one beer, I can't remember the company, but it was called Claymore, which is why I always remembered it. And it was like a microbrew from Colorado or something. It was so good. I was like, oh shit, I like a beer. And then I can almost never find it because it's like small batch.
Yeah.
But I live in San Diego, which is literally like brewer's heaven. There's a brewery on every other fucking corner. So I really should start trying beer again. I just never did.
That's true. There's a big pretentious brewery culture in San Diego.
That's a cool name for a brewery. Pretentious brewery. Pretentious brewery.
That would actually be a really fun name for a brewery.
I'm gonna start a brewery in my garage.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Well, like honestly,
The Skinny Jeans pub.
less than a block and a half away is a little store, and what they sell is all the shit for you to become a home brewer. Because everybody in San Diego seems to want to do it. So
God, men need jobs, guys. This is what I'm talking about. We got all these qualified white men with man buns who are unemployed.
Wait.
we're giving
Being a
them
brew, damn it! Being a brewmeister is a job.
it is a job if you're making money from it. It's not a job if you're just doing it for yourself and your buddies. That's called a hobby.
Tiny, let's not shit on these guys' dreams. It's all they have.
No. I want them to be doing their
They
dreams
bullshit.
and actually making money at it. I want them to have this job instead of a hobby.
But now, since it was
some really cool beers with like D&D names and titles, and those would sell.
They have some. They have some. I had a link to send. I forgot to send it to the group. They have some. Gotta find it again.
Gotcha.
But since Tiny kind of brought it up and it was brought up a little bit earlier, we'll go into it and talk about it. And it's this need to be part of a subscription service for every fucking thing under the sun nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Even to use equipment that you have bought and own. The example of it that HP is about to face is over their printers. You now have to subscribe and pay for a subscription fee to even get your printer to work. If you lapse outside the 6-month free trial and you do not update and pay for the service, the printer will not print at all. Additionally, go ahead.
There's so many products now that you're right. They're subscription, even if you don't realize they're subscription, you don't own them. Like the big thing that happened a couple years ago when everyone found out that their movies could be taken away because they had digital copies instead of physical copies. I remember people just being beyond shocked. And it's like, what did you think when they said you'd own nothing and be happy, live in the pod, eat the bugs? What did you think that was going to be like? They're trying to take everything away. So you literally cannot own anything. Everything's rented. That's just crazy.
No. And now, granted, I mean the ink thing is a little less, but not. I think is more anti-consumer of locking, so only HB ink cartridges can go into the printers. Otherwise, they won't work either.
Yeah,
and I thought that to begin with.
Fortune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's so I not so long ago, before I was Theo Snodgrass the comedian, I was Theo Snodgrass the car salesman, and one of the things that I noticed
explains a lot.
Yes, it does. It really does. It really does. I'll be honest with you. No,
hey, I think I bought my first Subaru from you.
Hey, I knew you from somewhere.
You're a lesbian?
Yes. Continue.
So, well, but listen, one of the things that's starting to happen in car businesses is you buy a car and it comes with a subscription. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, OnStar, something you can live without. No, it's like heated seats. There are subscription heated seats in luxury cars, stuff like that.
As someone who really loves heated seats, especially when she's not feeling well, I find that to be unbelievably despicable and a something against disabled people. I'm going to just call it.
and let's be honest. For a long time, heated seats and cooled for that heated seats, and that was really cool. And then you could get cooled seats. It's just blowing cold air on your ass, so it doesn't get swampy. It's nice. It's convenient.
That's interesting. Ooh, not a problem I've ever had, but that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, it's like, swampy. It's that cool air.
Yeah.
Well, no, but like that
driving.
Listen, Tidy, you can't appreciate this because you're of the inferior sex. But when you get that cool air blowing up against your scrotum, it feels.
Sorry, I believe it's superior specs is by definition the one with indoor plumbing.
You know what? Well, I'm going to invite you on my show, and we're going to settle this later. But right now,
except your show's at 9:00 in the morning. You're never getting me on that thing unless I stay up all night.
You know what, Tiny? This is not the time or the place. I'm trying to wax poetic about cool air caressing my testicles, and you're getting in the way. You're interrupting my flow. I'm trying to enter.
He's trying to sell something. Let the salesman go.
What I'm saying is these products definitely work without a subscription. And we know that because we had them without a subscription before.
Yeah.
Just like video games. I know, like when I was a kid, Drunk, Emerald, Darnell, you guys remember this. Tiny, you've played a video game. Do you remember when you used to just buy a game and you put it in and it worked? Right? Remember that?
I vaguely remember my friends talking about that, but I never actually had any games.
Wait, was that video games or sex?
Bring
For a
her.
while. I just didn't.
What is she here for?
I'm telling everybody, never bring me on if it's about video games. It's the one part of geek culture I know nothing about.
And this wasn't a video game discussion. You're the one bringing it up.
You know what?
So what you're trying? You are trying to get her in a box that she can't discuss, so that you can feel bigger. I get it. I
thought we were friends. To be fair, she was late. She steered the conversation this direction, and there's no consequences. So
that's right, Darnell. No accountability.
You are on my side, Darnell. Fucking A.
I want Emerson starting shit right now because it's funny as shit to me.
But that's the thing. You used to just be able to buy stuff and it worked.
No,
right?
no, I get that. No, I do get that.
I ran to the video rental place, which for you young people who used to be able to rent movies and video games from places. Ran home with the Japanese version of Mario Brothers 3 because they didn't have the American one yet. Popped it in and fucking played it. Didn't have to download anything. Didn't have to install anything. I just fucking played it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't really know games because I never played them, but I got so many friends that do these days. It's like I hear all the time about they all need patches. They're not ready when they say they are. They come out late and they're still not ready to go. I mean, that's crazy. And you guys are paying like $75 for these things, sometimes more. That's crazy.
Like me and my son, we love to play Fortnite together. Fortnite's free, but he doesn't play his system enough where when he does get on it and he's at his mom's for a week or so or whatever, he comes back, he's got to do a major like 2-hour update because he wasn't here to update it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
And you got the other thing that's really insidious about this is, especially now with economic times being tight, video games are a night out for poor people. A lot of times it's a night out is expensive. Going to a movie is expensive. Even just going out to eat at a place that's not even that nice, like Red Robin. I can only go to Red Robin on my birthday. You know, when I get it for free. And their food's not even good. But
wait a minute, you could get Red Robin for free on your birthday? I didn't
Shut your whore mouth.
Yes.
Not you.
Yes.
You shut your whore mouth. Red Robin is good. The nearest Red Robin is 600 miles from me.
I do. First of all, Darnell, I do whatever I want with my whore mouth, and I think you know that. Second of all, I mean, I'm not above going to Red Robin the month of my birthday to get my free burger. You know,
on like Red Robin, I remember that like my mom used to really like their crab cakes, but we now keep basic kosher. We don't need any trafe, so there's nothing.
There's nothing there for you. But
I still mix milk and meat in my meals to some degree because
does God know?
Well,
of course.
I'm not sure if you other know, but Darnell has known me long enough that I've had a really hard problem keeping my weight up and like actually having enough weight. So if I'm going to eat something that is good for me that happens to mix milk and meat, I'll eat it. But I haven't had pork, shellfish, bottom feeding fish, or something non-kosher since 2005.
Yeah.
Damn.
Been a while.
This is the point, right? Like things have gotten so expensive now that a video game is a night out for poor people, right? That's something you could do that's fun, that's relaxing, that you could just do. And there's a social aspect to it. Like Darnell's talking about Fortnite, there's a social aspect to it. But then if you tack on a monthly subscription in order to keep doing it, if you're a person who doesn't have a lot of income coming in, those monthly subscriptions for everything are just going to take you out at the knees. Like you're just never going to be able to get ahead.
But
like,
I have health apps on my phone. I have health apps that are supposed to help me stay hydrated.
You got to pay.
And take my pills at all. So many stupid fucking medications and pills and shit. And I have one of them that in the beginning it was helping, but it just, and so we bought a year subscription because it was helping in the beginning. But then it just got more and more complicated to the point where using it just practically over. If I'm in pain or I'm having a bad day, I can't use the health app because it's overwhelming because it's so fucking complicated.
And you got to pay for it.
My money back for paying for an entire year.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Everything has subscriptions.
And gaming is not new to this.
They give you a free version that sort of seems like it's really good, so you feel like maybe it's worth actually paying for this one.
Yeah.
And they'll give you deals like if you buy a whole year, you get 2 months off or something like that. So you feel like it, and then they always end up screwing you in the end.
And look, games aren't new to this. I think games are one of the first one of the first industries that started this. So I remember back World of Warcraft. I have never played the game. The most I've seen of World of Warcraft is pictures, commercials, displays in stores, and the South Park episode. I have never fucking played World of Warcraft, and why won't I? Because it's $16 a month to fucking play to have enough to save the characters.
The only thing I know about World of Warcraft is I know someone who actually met her husband on World of Warcraft.
I know
they
some
dated
people
on World of Warcraft,
yeah.
and they like he was from like Australia or somewhere.
Yeah,
they didn't actually meet in person until they were basically ready to get married. That's
same. I've met some people who've done the same thing. But like they've been doing this since the fucking game came out. What with 90 whatever the game came out, early 2000s. It was one of the first industries to have the subscriptions. I remember there was that. There was what fucking game was it? City of Heroes. I bought it, installed it, never played it because they wanted me to fucking pay monthly to keep the server going. I'm like, I just paid you $50 for this game. I don't have $7 a month or $15 a month for this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But
I mean, if they give you something free and they want you to subscribe, I can almost understand. Or if they give you something like really cheap and they want you to subscribe, I can almost understand. But if you're spending 50, 60, 75 fucking bucks and then they expect you to subscribe on top of that, that's crazy.
And the other insidious thing about the entire subscription service aspect of things is when it comes to, again, digital media. You don't own the item. You only get a license for it. And it isn't a lifetime license. It's as long as whoever you're getting it through holds the license. If the distribution company pulls their licensing from wherever you got it from, you lose access to it. And people are finding this out the hard way when it came to Sony and their movies.
Yep. And Disney did it to a bunch of people too.
Yep.
That's so fucking crazy.
It's so... What's crazy to me is the amount of people who aren't complaining about it. The amount of people that don't seem to care. Or, I mean, honestly, if all the gamers, what they've done to the D.E.I. games, that they've actually had them crash and burn, I think they should be doing that for some of the other stuff too. To just say, no, you don't get to keep using us, milking us like a fucking cow.
But it's so embedded now that to get rid of it, it's almost impossible.
I've got one for you. Do you guys remember when streaming services were going to be cheaper than cable? Do you guys remember that? And now
and there would be no commercials added in it anymore.
Yeah, I remember that. And now there's commercials and everything. And you know what's crazy? I recently I had a disagreement. I had a falling out with Verizon because we had a disagreement about whether or not I had to pay them. But
where did Verizon touch you? Show us on the dial.
show us in your wallet.
It was terrible. But here's the thing. I noticed when I got my phone service, they offered to throw in internet and a couple of streaming services too, which is weird because that looks exactly like a cable bundle. That's so weird. That's so weird how that happened. And now all of a sudden I'm paying way fucking more. And it's like, I wouldn't pay this much for cell phone service, but it's the price for just the cell phone service isn't worth it. And if I pay just a little bit more, I get streaming and internet too. So I might as well just pay a little more. And it's like, they've done the same hustle now. And, if you want to be up on water cooler talk, you got to see I will never watch Yellowstone because it's on Paramount Plus and I'm not going to fucking buy Paramount Plus. Like I have Amazon, I have Prime because it comes with Prime, and I have whatever streaming services girls have left logged in at my house. That's what I have. Like I don't have anything that I have to pay extra for.
You want to know what we just learned? Theo's rules to dating is find a girl that has a login to a streaming service to let them log in, and then when they leave, you still have access to it.
Now, that's a pro tip. That's how I have Netflix and Disney Plus.
Speaking of Netflix, so I logged in today to watch a movie that was filmed in New Orleans. A buddy of mine was in, and when I turned it on my TV, it said, "Want to let people watch Netflix who's not at your home? Add it for $7.99 more a month.
Yep.
You can give someone access to your Netflix." Like, fuck this shit. But back to Paramount Plus. If again, Walmart is like the only store here, so we have Walmart Plus, and actually we benefit the shit out of it because like the gas station gets its 10 cents off a gallon. You get Paramount Plus free with Walmart Plus.
That's because also the companies are looking because they're using the metric of how many subscribers they have as a metric of how well their streaming service is doing.
Yeah. Same with AT&T. I have Max for free because I have AT&T.
Like 2 cents. Because they want to get their freaking numbers up because nobody really likes Disney Plus.
Well, yeah, that's the same thing with Apple TV. The reason I've seen Ted Lasso is because I got Apple TV wrapped up with my T-Mobile service or
I
whatever.
thought a girl logged it in.
And didn't
No, is that on your dating profile? Tell me what streaming services you're subscribed to.
Must have Netflix to date me.
Well, no, like I've got really good family friends back in New York that are basically like family. And I was using their Netflix login every once in a while because it was the family plan and I was on it. But when Netflix started checking people's IP address and went, oh, this IP address is too far from the main IP address because they're back in New York and I'm here. I was like, fuck. So then they said, oh, you can do traveling. So I was on the traveling account. And then they said, well, you've watched too much. The traveling account's now canceled. It's like, what the fuck? Like, so I haven't had any streaming at all for the last few months. But it turns out my neighbors who I babysit for all the time for free, actually, their Wi-Fi keeps getting picked up by my phones and my stuff. So I might actually be able to use their Netflix.
Well, you also do have access to a server that you can watch. And if there's something not there, you can let the person
That's true. You did give me some for that. And that is so cool. And I appreciate that greatly. Thank you very much, Darnell.
He really likes to pimp out his server.
I'm mostly watching YouTube for my as well as my entertainment. And then when I really want anime, I go to Crunchyroll. Like that's the only thing I'm paying for right now is Crunchyroll.
Right. It feels good to be able to help people. That's why. I tell people about it. But yeah, like anime, there's so little I'm into now that I just can't justify getting an account.
No,
it is amazing that the thing is that there are streaming services out there that don't cost a thing. You have Tubi. You have Freevee, you have Pluto TV. I mean, there are free streaming services out there,
dude. And a lot of them, like Tubi, have like really good old shows that were great.
Oh yeah,
so much better than what they put out today.
Well, yeah, the people sleep on the Roku channel, but the Roku channel is legit. They got some good stuff on there.
Oh yeah,
I watched Walker Texas Ranger on there. That's an incredible show. It's just Chuck Norris in a cowboy hat, just roundhouse kicking pedophiles in the face.
Oh,
it's
so you
fucking best, dude.
And drug dealers.
You watched the good one, then you didn't watch the one with Jared Padalecki. You watched the good one.
No, I watched the good one.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, okay. No. The Jared Padalecki one didn't make any sense. I saw the pilot and I was screaming at the TV through the whole fucking thing because I generally like Jared Padalecki, and they could have rebooted the show and made it slightly more modern, but basically been the same show, and they would have made a fucking fortune, I think, because a lot of people really loved the original, but they had to make it all weird and modern bullshitty.
Yeah.
In the eyes of the ranger, the unsuspecting stranger, they better know the rules from wrong from right.
The whole thing that made Walker Texas Ranger cool.
That song didn't come in until the second or third season, and they had the little girl sing it, and then it becomes the theme song.
Well, here's the thing. What made
and then it was cool, Chuck singing it later later on. It was actually Chuck Norris singing.
His ranch is really fucking close to Texas A&M. I accidentally ended up right by the gates to his ranch because I got lost one day.
Accidentally, not on a Star Tour to say, maybe I can see him.
Dude.
And wait.
Texas A&M is in the middle of nowhere, Texas.
Let me guess.
You can easily get fucking lost.
Let me guess. You found you were accidentally there. Nothing happened to you. No consequences, right?
I didn't go in.
Oh, here we go.
I was trying to figure out where the fuck I was, and I finally saw this big gate, and then I realized it was the ranch. And I went, oh, I know where I am. I can pick up a map and get back to school.
Yeah, guys, fellas, what do you think would happen to you if you accidentally wandered onto Chuck Norris's ranch?
Did not
what do you think
would
happen to us
ranch.
if that happens?
He didn't bite me in and say, hey, do you want an iced tea?
I did not try to enter
You're
the gate.
getting roundhouse kicked in the face.
I did not get involved. The gates gave me a point of reference so I knew how to get home. That's all.
Yeah, she's using standard navigational tools, find landmarks. Oh, look at this. This is Chuck Norris' house.
Okay, I grew up in New York City. Everything's a fucking grid, and I know every large building and where it means I am. I went to school in the middle of nowhere that we actually have like legitimate telescopes because there's so little fucking light pollution.
Yeah.
I love A&M dearly, but it is the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean,
what you were trying to say, Theo?
At least fucking in Austin. It's in a city.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say about the whole point. No, the whole thing that made Walker Texas Ranger cool was Chuck Norris was a karate champion. Everybody knew he was badass. Okay. And there was that whole tie-in of him being like, raised on an Indian reservation or like half native or whatever. Right. And that was like integrally that was woven into the show throughout.
Yeah, they had a lot of really cool Native American spiritualism.
With Jared Padalecki, it's just like a kind of an effeminate guy with long hair. He's not roundhouse kicking anybody. And the original show, his fucking sidekick was a former Dallas Cowboys wide receiver.
Yep.
Like, that's fucking cool. Like, that's a cool backstory, right?
Yeah.
And they hired a bunch of, and later on in the show, they kept hiring these people who had strong martial arts backgrounds, who were doing cool stunts. Totally, my dad liked the show because they were always
legit actual fighters who also happen to be actors. That was really
and they were
cool.
blowing up cars and shit. Like, and the bad guys were always just the worst people you could imagine. Just
they weren't misunderstood villains.
No, they were just drug-dealing pedophiles who also did acts of terrorism and kidnapped people in their free time. That's who Walker Texas Ranger beat up, and it was just like
you remember he fucked up a lot of drug dealers too. There was a lot about anti-drug stuff, and they had the episodes where they brought in actual former gangbangers, many who'd become small-time actors. And they brought them in to do the scared straight and to fuck and to mess with when they had the kid gang episodes, which when those things were going on, a lot of people were like, oh, it's not realistic. I'm like, bitch, come to the Bronx in the summer. Fuck you, this ain't realistic. My cousins, their neighborhood, at least one person they knew was killed every summer, at least. And there were entire months where you couldn't go in the Bronx wearing anything red, or you couldn't go to fucking West Brooklyn wearing anything blue and yellow. Like the Crips and the Bloods were at war. That was the thing. That was one of my young childhood. By the time I was a teenager and young 20s, New York was fucking safe. It was a great place to be. You didn't worry about that shit anymore most of the time. Now, New York is more dangerous, more fucked up than it ever was when I was a kid.
Them in Chicago are trying to take New Orleans as the most dangerous city. I'm holding on to that one, guys. Fuck y'all.
Hey, watch out. Detroit's coming right back at you.
Hey, bring it.
Yeah, but I mean, if we'd elected Harris, the entire country could be Detroit.
We're shooting people on the highway, man.
Use that as a fucking speech.
Yeah. Like, you know what? Even people in Detroit don't want the rest of don't want to be Detroit. I mean,
the older I get, the more I feel like some of the villains from my childhood were right. Like OCP, fucking just bulldoze that shit and build a new city.
Yep.
I mean, I love RoboCop, and I love the fact that he stood up for the people, but at the same time, they should have just bulldozed that city and built something new.
That's crazy.
Well, at this point, this is what they're having to do, essentially, is burn old condemned buildings down. I mean, if you look at Detroit of the past compared to today, there's a lot of open land that used to be just tons of houses. So just because everyone's moved out, they're leaving because of the crime.
It was a great place to shoot like post-apocalyptic movies and stuff because it was abandoned. There was so much of the city that literally was just totally abandoned, and you can see what happens to a city like that.
That's crazy.
Eventually, a bunch of those buildings become condemned because they're dangerous. If they don't have upkeep, they become seriously dangerous. So they have to blow up or burn them. That's the only option.
And the thing is, the most common denominator out of almost every single one of these major cities that have just completely gone off the rails and have declined into such ruin have had Democratic leadership for decades.
Yep. Giuliani created a safe, fucking amazing city. Giuliani was an amazing fucking mayor. And he didn't try to extend his administration after 9/11 when most of the city was more than willing to say, fuck the city codes. We want you to stay. We need you to help us rebuild this city. And he said, no, it's not right. There's only a 2-term limit. I'm going to stand by it. And then fucking Bloomberg bought himself into the mayor's seat and then bought off the city council to change the rules so that he could have 3 fucking terms right after that had happened.
Crazy. That's so crazy. It's paradoxical, but it's like the people who are like, we care about the poor people, we care about the disenfranchised, we care about the minorities. their policies actually don't help.
Make the world much more dangerous for those same people.
Right. And it's crazy.
The world of those people.
It's crazy. And then the people who actually want to enforce law and order, you know who benefits the most from law and order? It's people who are law abiding, who live in tough neighborhoods. I saw a stat today that was like in New York, 0.33% of the, or 0.033% of the population is responsible for a third of the thefts. A third. It's just the same people.
There's 360 people or whatever that all have more than 40 fucking arrests, and they are responsible for like 80% of all thefts. These 400 people, they know exactly who they are. They've arrested them a million times, but because of the supposed, I get really mad when people talk about bail reform. Do I believe that people who are poor should be forced to stay in jail longer than other people because they can't afford bail? No, I do understand that's a problem. But the bail reform is now just no one has to play bail. Everyone gets released every fucking second, no matter what they do, unless they happen to be a good Samaritan who tried to save people's lives. Then they spend fucking months in goddamn prison.
This is actually important. So I know a little bit about this. So the reason you put people in jail is because when people get older, they calm down. And there are people who have just really poor impulse control. And it doesn't matter how nice you are to them. They have poor impulse control.
How many skills they learn.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how much, pottery they take. It doesn't matter how many times they perform Hamlet. They're gonna, it doesn't matter how much you make them apologize. They have poor impulse control and they're going to keep doing impulsive stuff. But you know what does taper off impulsivity is getting older. That's a big one, especially with young men. What makes you way less impulsive is just getting older, right? And the way you can get somebody who's way too impulsive and who is just going to keep stealing over and over and over and over again, it's not nice to say, but one way you can prevent them from committing crimes over and over again is put them in jail for a while.
When you're talking about the New York criminals, especially the ones that do all the theft, that's not impulse control. That's literally, they have been trained by the system that this is how that they should live their lives, and that we should be sorry for them that that's how they have to live their lives. Well, I'm sorry, a lot of those people with impulse control, you give them healthy places to put all their fucking energy, they use that energy towards positive things.
But then you get like
not always, but a lot of the times, and especially in like a lot of the inner cities, they're not even given the chance. They don't go to sleepaway camp or to learn shit and do shit. And the schools aren't doing anything. I get pissed when people talk about the school to prison pipeline. The school to prison pipeline is partially because you've created all these rules for the fucking schools and the teachers that they're not allowed to punish anybody. They're not allowed to make people understand that there are consequences. And it's not just the pretty girls.
That's
good one there. Good one.
Yeah, how mad she got about that.
Pretty girls.
See how mad she got. She knows I'm right. Listen. Okay, hear me out. I heard a take the other day. This is a brand new take. I'm gonna drop this on the podcast. You tell me what you think. The guy was saying that we shouldn't let women be teachers anymore. Hear me out.
Women made some of the best teachers, and taking them
but hold on before you jump down my throat. Hear me out. Would you not say, like, the vast 80% of teachers are female? And would we not say that the school system has become very feminized? It's become kind of hostile to the way boys natively are. And we've gotten away from punishment, right? We've gotten away from rigid rules. We've gotten away from competition. We're not allowed to play tag. We're not allowed to play contact.
Dodgeball's too violent. Now you got to call it bombard. Now look, wait. No, they can play it, but they can't call it dodgeball. It has to be called bombardment, which is not aggressive sounding. Apparently,
I'm telling you what, it's not men who are making all these rules.
Now, but like, okay, no, okay. So this is where I'm going to be the let's say outlier, or maybe not completely agree, but I think it's less having to do with women being the teachers. I think it has more to do with the social rot of DEI, victimhood, leftist indoctrination in colleges.
And by the way,
it's existed in the teaching colleges longer than anywhere else in this country.
Right. And by the way, who's the majority of people who are going to college to get educated, and who's the most susceptible to leftist indoctrination?
Communists.
Is women. It's women. It's all white
No.
women. It's all white women with fucking
I
blue
don't know.
hair.
There
who do
are-
the
I'm
shit.
sorry, no.
Hey,
There are
there's a lot of
there are
skinny
more
jeans.
guys there are a lot more males than women than females as teachers these days. A. B. When you get to the university side, they're much more likely to be male than female. And I'm sorry, most of the people who put the insanely fucked up shit into the teaching colleges were male.
No,
So
I have
fuck
to, Tiny. I have to push back on this. Which departments are you seeing majority male faculty? Is it STEM departments? I'll give you that. But if you go into the humanities, your colleges of teaching.
I have a double major in history and anthropology and a double minor in philosophy and religious studies, and almost all of my professors were male.
I
That's
tell
the
you what.
humanities.
I
Almost
tell you
all my
what.
professors were male.
Ted,
I tell you
My
what.
philosophy
I have
professors were all
I
male.
have a bachelor's. I
My
have a
archaeology
bachelor's.
professor was male. My anthropology professor was male. They
Yeah,
had
but
two
Tiny,
female
Tiny,
PAs.
Tiny. That's Texas, though.
Yeah, I have a-
Okay,
I
I
have a-
transferred schools 4 times.
Mhm.
When I first graduated high school, my grandma was really sick, and I'd been raised by her as well as my mom. So I wanted to stay home. So I went to community college. I only had 2 female professors there. And one of them was a Czech bitch who couldn't speak English, so she don't count because I couldn't understand her class and I had to drop it.
How
I
the
didn't
fuck
tell you.
get a
I didn't tell
college
you.
degree?
Tiny. I went through elementary school. Almost all of my teachers were female. High school, almost all of my teachers were female. Then I got a bachelor's degree in communications, and then I got a law degree. And I got to tell you what, man, I saw a lot of female faces in the front of the room. I probably didn't have a male professor until I got to law school. And I tell you what, man, the humanities is
Okay,
done. And
but you live in
that's-
fucking Washington State.
no,
which is
I
like
went to school in
the
Southern
world-
California, baby.
Okay, so also Southern California, another place of world insane hippie
Yes.
craziness.
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
You
No,
want,
like,
because Southern California is a bat.
First
Southern
grade was
California.
male, second grade was male, third grade was female, fourth grade was male, fifth grade homeroom was male,
Yes.
sixth
and
grade
Tiny,
homeroom was male, seventh
how-
grade homeroom was male, eighth grade
Look how
homeroom
well
was
you
male.
turned out, Tiny. Look how based you are. This is
Yeah, that came
proof
from my
that male
family, not from my
educators do a
school. I
better
went to a-
job.
You don't understand.
You're
They
making
might
my
have all been male,
point.
but I went to one of the most liberal school systems in the country. More so than fucking Southern California to a large degree. The Chappaqua school system was one of the richest, most liberal, insane school systems in the fucking country. And I spent my entire time there fighting those assholes. You have
I don't
no
know,
idea
Tiny.
how fucking liberal most
I
people
can
are.
see the
Listen,
gears running in Theo's head right now.
I feel like you turned out so well and so based. I think you benefited
That's
from
my
having
family, not
majority
my
male
school.
teachers. I think you're making my point. This is
Iron.
what I'm saying. We
Emerald,
gotta
sorry.
have some male teachers here. I'm telling you, we gotta have male
It's the
teachers.
sunglasses and the beard.
And also, this is
I was
important
having
too.
2 conversations.
Because this is important too. Our school system is flatly failing our boys. Like we
It's
agree on
failing
that at least.
everybody. It is failing everybody.
I know, but Tiny, 60% of college freshmen are women. So women are almost
That's
all the
because-
valedictorians
okay,
are
no, I'm sorry,
women.
there's
Almost
also
all the
another
high
thing.
school valedictorians are
No,
women. Almost all the
I was
college
born in
valedictorians
84.
are women.
I was born in 84. By the time I was 5, all of Hollywood, all of Disney, all of everything that was pop culture in any way, shape, or form was saying you had to go to college or you were a complete another failure, whether you were male or female. And especially if you were female, if you wanted to get a job and you wanted to get ahead, you had to have a college degree because they would take guys over you. That's what they were telling us. I'm not saying that's what was true. I'm saying this is what they told us from the time I was 5 fucking years old. That if women wanted to get ahead in the world at all, they had to go to college. It was even more important for them to go to college than for men to go to college because men could do all these different jobs without college degrees or that women weren't be allowed to do. Do I know that most of that was bullshit? Yes. But it doesn't change the fact that it's what was put on me from a very young age. And most girls I know were not raised in households like mine, where people talk about this type of stuff over the dinner table, where my grandmother explained to me, there's no fucking crying in school and there's no fucking dealing with this shit. You either fucking have a fight and take care of it and be done with it, or you don't get to bitch.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, Tiny, it seems like you were brought up with a very rigid masculine structure, and I think that more
I was
students
raised by
would
my grandmother and
benefit
my mother with no men involved at all.
with a
Thank you
very
much.
rigid masculine structure, though. I'm not saying masculine doesn't necessarily mean male, but I think male teachers are more likely to be masculine, and I think boys especially would benefit from having more male role models. Especially a lot of these boys don't have fathers in the home.
Boys should have more male role models that are good role models, but part of that is the fact that the male role models that most guys have, especially if you grow up in a city, are fucking rappers and gangsters and assholes.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah,
part
look
of the
how well
problem
that's
with
going
that,
with like Diddy right now.
right? Like, well, yeah. Look at this. Let me run this by you. There's a higher percentage of female fighter pilots than there are male kindergarten teachers. Think about that for a second. There's a higher percentage of female fighter pilots. There are male kindergarten teachers.
Start at like 2nd or 3rd grade and go up, because when you're dealing with the very, very young, yes, that is generally considered.
It'd be weird if a dude was teaching little kids. I mean,
right?
Socially, it's a little weird.
But I think that these boys especially would benefit. Like I think we should have
boys would benefit from more fucking recess and allowing them to be able to physically interact with the world around them when they're learning.
Right. I think the best way.
But I've had plenty of male teachers that would not let male students act the way that men should be allowed to act.
This is a failure of the public school system and just the schooling in general. When they turned it more into being in less education, it was more based on a work. It's more, well, no, not just that. Structuring school like working a business where you had classes, then research, which is your 10-minute break. Then you come back and you'd work again, and then you'd go to lunch, and then you'd have class, and then you have another recess. Plus, it was a bell like you would have at a job. The modern education system
designed to create highly skilled factory workers, and
right.
That's it.
Now, the thing about it is overall is that it's not so much who the teacher is, whether it be male or female. The problem is the way the youth are educated. Yep. Women respond a certain way to being to education in certain styles where men are different, and that's why I'm more of an advocate. Modern days you can't get away with this, but I think the genders, especially in the formative years, should be separated, males and females.
Definitely.
And I don't think they should be separated by age.
Mm-hmm. No,
like you should be separated by your skill level, not by your age. Like I went to a Montessori preschool, and Montessori allows you to do as you are. I made friends with a bunch of people who were a little bit older than me. They went on to the next class because they learned to tie their shoes. I didn't want to learn to tie my shoes, and because I had Velcro shoes, and I didn't get to move on with my friends. And when I realized I couldn't move on with my friends, I said, fuck it, I'll learn how to tie shoes so that I can move on with my friends. And the same thing happens if you go to a Montessori school all the way up. Like if you learn to read at a certain level, you get to be in this group and read these books. I mean, in my school, I almost didn't learn to read because I hated the books that they gave us that were age appropriate, quote unquote. Like Beverly Cleary and I have a serious fucking beef. If I ever meet that bitch, I'm punching her in the face. I hate every book she ever wrote.
I think she's dead, so you're good.
Okay, fine. But I hate every book she ever wrote.
Well, then in the afterlife,
they tried to get us to read. I was in 3rd grade. I was like, can I read Dracula? I wanted to read shit that was like creepy or fun or weird or whatever, but I couldn't read it because I couldn't read. So my mom got me a tutor and found Roald Dahl, which was as close to fantasy, sci-fi, science fiction that I could read. And she found a high schooler who wanted to become a teacher someday, and she worked with me. So like I would read a paragraph, and then she would read a page. And she used to teach my mom would tell the people, if I'm having trouble with the word, just tell it to me. Don't make me force it out and become too tired or too frustrated. Just learn to enjoy reading. And so in 3rd grade, I started 3rd grade on a 1st grade reading level, and I ended 3rd grade on a 5th grade reading level. And by the time I was in 6th grade, I was reading high school books because that's what I wanted to read. So my mom gave me the fucking path to do it. Whereas if I'd stayed with just the school was giving me, it would have been fucking Beverly Cleary and Charlie's Bad Day, and I never would have learned to read ever.
No good.
You know, and like I said, it's also like to pass a test now. I don't know if it's a nationwide. Yeah. Okay, so it's nationwide. Like knowledge. And they say that blatantly in the stuff they send home. I mean, the thing they've gotten last by saying it. And it doesn't matter if you learn. It just matters if you can get to the elite test, which is like I don't know if y'all have something similar. The California Achievement Test. Yeah, in the 90s, 80s. It's kind of similar. And if you're some Louisiana educational achievement something. And if you could pass the test, it didn't matter if you knew anything, they'd move you on to next grade. You could fail the whole year.
The education system moved away from critical thinking to just data regurgitation.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yep. That's why I'm a firm proponent of cheating on tests. Because in the real world, if you get posed a question you don't know the answer to, what are you going to do?
Pick up
Go
Google.
find the answer, right?
Yeah.
Whether
I'm gonna
you
ask somebody
Google
who
it,
I
knows.
actually got in a really
Google
big
it.
fight with my ex-fiance about that.
Google it. Me and my wife too. I'm a firm believer that college should be like, hey, you're going to be a chef. Your classes are chef based. You're not taking trigonometry. You're not taking fucking English 3, English 4. You're going to be IT. You're going to have mostly math based shits. You're not going to take like 5 fucking PEs for electives.
And people should be able to take classes to figure out what they're, or not classes, but take tests and stuff to figure out what they're most likely to be good at and try that as their path.
Yeah. But the college thing, I am 1 or 2 police classes away from a degree in criminal justice. But
the only reason I went to college at all was I wanted to be a Marine since I was 6, and my family made it very clear I was not allowed to be that I had to be an officer.
Yeah,
and it
you
literally one of my grandfather's best friends who stayed close to my grandmother after he died was Don fucking Rumsfeld. So I was told if I got on a goddamn bus to Paris Island, I would be taken off of it. So I had to go to college.
So, but what I'm saying is like I'm two law classes from a degree, but I still have to take like 10 fucking regular education classes just to get a degree.
That in itself is just how corrupt and broken the university system is. You should not, if you already know and you've already declared what your major is, then all your classes should be focused to this, not some electives for like humanities and a music course. And
that you understand certain things. Like I've met some guys that grew up totally science-based and they cannot speak. They cannot write very well and they cannot give speeches. So when they come up with cool ideas, they get fucked. So I think you should have to take English or you should be able to test out of it. You shouldn't be forced to take a class that you obviously can pass and already know.
Agreed.
That's all I'm saying about humanities. If you can write, then good. You don't need to take English. But if you can't write, you should have to take English so you can write well.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, like I should. Yeah, it shouldn't like. And the way to get this degree would take me, I think, like 6 more years. So I'm gonna take like 1 class a semester or 2.
Yeah.
Because of the way I live, the way I work, the kids and all this shit. And there's no fucking way. Can I take them online? Nope.
And here's a real question.
Every week to test.
Darnell, are those classes going to make you a better cop?
Fuck no.
Oh, wait, Darnell, have you tried CLEPS?
No.
College level equivalency program. There's all sorts of classes that you actually can test out of if you go through the CLEPS program.
I did that. I took the ACT Compass and I tested out of all Englishes except for like 1 or 2. Because, like, look, I passed with the lowest D possible in English in my senior year. I bullshit him away to a D, the lowest fucking D possible. I think I only got it because she wanted me to graduate. I think I failed that class. The police academy and learning to write a report there. When I got to the ACT Compass, I just looked at them like, okay, obvious. I tested. I think I got a 99%. I was one of the highest. I scored higher than 90% of high school seniors who took the ACT test in 2012, which is fucking embarrassing considering how.
I'd rather be lucky than smart.
Well, right. I tried to see AP history because I'd studied history like on and off my whole life. I loved history, and they were like, "Well, your English isn't good enough, so you can't get into the AP class." It's like, fuck. So I took my regular English class and I worked really hard in my English class so that I could write the essays better. Like, because I could speak really well, but I couldn't write very well at the time. And I actually took the AP. I paid to take the test without taking the class, and I got a 4, which is the second best score you can get. But it's like, because I knew the information, I just had to find a way that I could put it on the page in the way that they wanted, basically. But it's just, there's so many things you can learn on your own, or you can learn that you should not be forced to put ass in chair time.
Right.
There's so many things that are all about your ass in the chair. It's not about the information you're learning or or how you're bettering yourself in any way.
So this goes back to what I was saying. In real life, you run into something you don't know. What are you going to do? Google it.
Look it up.
Pull a book out. Ask somebody. Turn the TV on and watch something about it. So when it comes to a test, why shouldn't you be able to use your resources to answer the fucking test?
Yeah. So I assume then that you, like my mother, would have taken my ex-fiance's side in this fight. because when we first got together, because I'd had to have emergency surgery and stuff happening, we weren't near each other, so we were talking online a lot.
Right.
And I'm not bad at science. I'm not good at math, and I don't enjoy math, so it blocked me from the higher sciences that I also was very interested in.
Yeah.
But when it comes to history, philosophy, just anthropology and studying other cultures and other humans and all that, I'm really good. So I don't care so much that I'm not great on the sciences stuff. Eric was really good on sciences. And then suddenly we started having these conversations where I was talking about history and cultures, and he could keep up with everything. And I started to feel like really kind of not intimidated, but like, okay, he's good at science, he's good at math, he's good at engineering, and he's good at this other shit. Like, fuck. Then I found out that because we were having our conversations online, he was Googling everything I fucking mentioned.
That's smart.
That was cheating. That was fucking cheating.
Smart. Look, okay, my wife is a nurse. When I met her, I knew some shit about nursing. I worked in hospitals for a few years.
You've seen Grey's Anatomy?
No, I haven't. I watched ER. But like there's shit I didn't know. I fucking looked up before we talked, and to me that's studying for the test. And when I needed to, I'll be like, wait, I don't understand. Look it up. Okay, now I got it. Let's go. So I'm a firm believer that you should be able. Hey, look, you got your test. Have your phone on your desk and fucking find the answers, dude.
Yeah, that's right. Well, listen, I once slid into the DMs of this muscle mommy who was in a philosophy PhD program, and for research purposes, and she
of course,
yeah, right. She was telling me there were a couple of words I had to Google, but she was very impressed by my responses. She was
hey, you want to know what? That's the beauty of modern.
You're all cheaters.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of modern technology and now AI.
Right.
You can just write kind of a message and go, "Hey, make this a certain type of mood, certain words, make me sound smart," and then it'll sit there and go, "Oh, look at that! Holy crap! I'm a PhD level author."
At least for people like me, if I do that and I read what was written, I will absorb it as if it's being taught to me.
Right. And besides, like, how do you know that I wasn't going to marry that muscle mommy? It was very important that I cheat to make her like me.
Dude,
because otherwise,
the guy who
look at what we're working with.
I was going to marry the fuck.
Look at what we're working with. We need to cheat. We can't. We can't attract or keep women with this. With these looks.
I'm 5'7". It's hard out here. I need every advantage I can get.
We're not pretty women.
I just want to say they're all called lifts. Anyway,
we're not pretty. We're not pretty who can show up late to things and change subjects. I fucking love you guys, dude. I love you guys.
Oh.
That's good.
You killed Theo.
Good. Yeah. That's good. That's good.
I mean, some of us. Granted, some of us definitely have a face for radio, and we understand that, and we accept it.
I don't even have a voice for radio. I'm double fucked.
That's right.
Well,
so you're not a triple threat. How's your dancing?
Oh, it's horrible. It's non-existent.
You need to learn West Coast swing. The guy doesn't actually have anything but strong arms. You never even have to move your feet.
I don't have strong arms. I got fucking bad wrists, bad elbows, bad shoulders.
I have a really strong right forearm. That's where most of my.
Me too.
Most of my
I
strength
can't imagine why.
Well, he writes a lot.
That's right. I'm a very avid writer. Look. Here's the problem with college. I'm gonna
get away from that comment.
So listen,
let me go to something else here real quick.
But listen, so here's the thing. I'm okay with college being a place to find yourself because right now it's adult sleepaway camp, right?
Yeah.
I'm not okay with it being a place to be indoctrinated. That's a real problem. But also, it's way too expensive to be a place to go and find yourself.
Yes.
Because you go there at 18, not knowing what the fuck you're going to do. I went to college in Southern California because that school was 2/3 female and they were the hottest girls I'd ever seen in my life. Okay. I toured the campus. The trees looked nice. The girls were hot. I was going from a Catholic school to a Catholic school. So I was a shoe-in to get in. and the girls were hot and they were right next to the beach and it was just warm all the time. I grew up in the woods. It was the most, I was just, they got me with shock.
He was feral till he was 12.
Yeah. That's right. I was raised by dogs in a chicken coop. I had no civilizing, and and they get you, you're not making good decisions. If you make a good decision at 18, it's by accident. You don't have critical thinking skills at that age,
Unless you have family members that have pushed critical thinking on you from a young age.
And well, I kind of agree with Theo a little bit. My grandfather, when he was 18, had fucking good choices, made good choices back in the 40s. As the generations are coming, our critical thinking is just disappearing.
Yeah.
And
it used to be. I mean, I know it's very common in Jewish households, but I was under the impression that it was common in most households in years gone by for people to sit around the dinner table and talk about morals and ethics and philosophy and what's good and what's not good and things to do and things that are happening in the world that are good and not good. Like that's
how it should be.
But my family did that, but we did it on mostly all secular issues. Like we didn't actually have a very religious household, but it was very much a Jewish household in the sense that talking about philosophy and morals especially was really important. I mean, I learned the phrase all it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing when I was in like 4th fucking grade. And that became like a major part of my personality in my life, because that's what my grandmother had these conversations around the dinner table, and she made sure she cooked dinner at least a couple times a week.
How my grandfather was, I'd go eat at his house or spend nights at his house. That's how it was there.
You had to talk about it. You had to know I mean, my grandma basically said at least once when I was younger, she said, I said, why do we talk about some of this stuff? Because I'd been to my friends' houses and they don't have dinner like that. And she said, well, it's important that you know what's expected of you. And as my granddaughter, these things are expected of you. And so that's what I learned. But people don't do that anymore. And I think that's one of the biggest issues is it's not just how bad the schools are. The schools are awful. But like I said, if you have a strong family life, you cannot necessarily be as indoctrinated. I mean, I'm not saying I wasn't indoctrinated at all. I know I literally can't watch my mom wash the dishes or brush her teeth because she leaves the water running the whole time. And from earliest elementary school, we were told, turn the water off, turn the lights off. You're going to waste all these things. And I know that it's fucking brainwashing and it's not true. And I still can't handle it at all. So I know it is indoctrinated.
But the thing is you live in California, so that actually is kind of true.
Well, no, this was in New York. This was in New York. Elementary school, middle school, everything was in New York until just 5 years ago. Or when I went to school in Texas, and I also went to school in Rhode Island, and then I spent 1 semester at Harvard and got kicked out. So
yeah, but the thing about it is that currently, if you look at a lot of the households and stuff like that, is that there's just a real breakdown of the family unit in general. And I'm not just talking about, I'm not specifically, because all throughout history there have been single moms and single dads. But the fact is that the family unit,
norm, and society used to try to help them. You would have the idea that it takes a village to raise a child is not about fucking social.
Not about fucking. I hope it's not
communist bullshit. It's about this idea that most families can't do it all on their own. They need the neighborhood to look out for them to some degree in different ways.
Right now, if you try to get the neighborhood to look out for your kids, you're labeled a bad parent.
Yep.
And now, in addition to that, adding to that is, so you didn't have a lot of people and kids nowadays don't have that growing up. Yeah, in addition to that, you have the education system that isn't really, it's relying more on regurgitating information than it is critical thinking. I'm seeing it with employees that they can't problem solve.
No. Yeah. It's a serious issue.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing.
They have done everything they can to destroy the nuclear family because it is the building block for all societies. And if you want to have a strong society and one that is not dependent on the fucking government, then you need to have strong families. But I also think that there's been this insane push to destroy the extended family as well. And I mean, the people that I know that did the best were the people that the grandma or the aunts or whatever lived in the same neighborhood or at least in the same town. And when you did something wrong, everyone in your fucking family knew it, and made you
neighborhood knew it.
And it's just, I honestly think that this idea that A, we should only be nuclear families, and B, it's perfectly fine to have a single parent nuclear family, and we shouldn't be including our extended families in raising our kids and living our. It's so funny. Sorry. But I think that it takes family and friends to raise a healthy kid these days. And I think it always has. If you look back at history, the best cultures were the ones that were integrated.
Well, and this is actually really important too. So let me run this by you folks. What happens if let's say you're a young boy in the school system and you're a creative problem solver and you're independent minded and you're strong willed and you have a lot of energy? What happens to you if you go to school like that?
They medicate you and say you're a problem.
Into a
yes.
stupor, unfortunately.
Yes. So you learned, like I learned pretty young. I was a bright kid, if you can believe it. And I learned really young that reading was for fags. And if I wanted to have friends, that I better not know stuff. Right. I learned that quick. And I was also rather undersized for my age. So I got, I found out
I was shorter than the Japanese girl. All right. Fuck off.
Okay. All right. Right. Sorry, guys. I didn't make everything about the pretty girl for 1 second. Can we, everyone redirect the conversation to give attention to the attractive woman? All right. Bask in the attention. All right.
Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about men again for a second. I'm telling you, when you have a bunch of boys and from the time they enter school, they're basically told society is not for you. Sit down, shut up, and be more like the girls. Let the women lead. Then you're going to have a bunch of boys who grow up and just check out of society. And then the girls are going to look around and be like, where are the men who are worth marrying? And they're not going to see any because they're all a bunch of gooners, right? There's not going to be men worth marrying.
Mean?
That's this. They're
guys. What does gooner mean?
I've seen
gooner.
It like 5 times. This is good.
I thought it was something connected.
I've been waiting for this moment my whole life.
I thought gooners was like something people like who are of age to watch the Goonies or something.
Okay. No. So this is. I'm so excited about this. So gooning is a process of watching a tremendous amount of pornography, and you jerk off just to the point of climax, and then you let it go. And then you jerk off again just to the point of climax, and then you let it go. And you do this over and over and over and over again so that you can reach a tremendous climax. You watch a tremendous amount of pornography to create this effect, right? That's what gooning is. So a gooner...
You can do the same thing with tantric sex and not have to deal with porn.
Oh my God. Well, okay. But if you can't find a partner because you're an undesirable young man, it's a lot easier to just go on your phone and do it with porn. Right. And so a lot of men, a lot of
would actually teach you so much more.
I understand that. But the young men, they don't want to learn. They want to get the quick dopamine fix because the world is telling them they suck. Yeah, that's the other thing, too, because that's the other thing you understand about being a young man. 90% of them are not desirable at all. And they can't talk to women at all. They have no idea why it's not working. They don't know what works. And society tells them to be nice. And that doesn't work. And then their friends who have girlfriends tell them just be yourself.
Because in New York, I could walk up to guys and hit on them and there wasn't a problem. I found out in Texas, that's not okay in the South.
No.
Like, I had multiple guys not pick me up because I bought them.
And also, not all girls make it as easy as Tiny makes it. Okay. Some of them take work. Right. And that's important, right?
Just call me easy.
I did. I was hoping you wouldn't notice. So this is what I'm saying.
Look, like I said, I may have been raised by mostly women, but I was raised by very strong-willed women. And most of my friends growing up were guys, not girls. So I probably do see things slightly differently, but I'm still going to stand up and say that we're all not like that. I'm sorry. We're just not all.
Okay. So my point is, if you're a young man, right, and school's not working out for you, and girls aren't working out for you, but video games are working out for you, and porn makes your life easier because you're just a walking erection at 14 years old. It's just all you could think about all the time, and it's going to be that way for the next decade and a half of your life, right? So you're in this situation where it's just easier to just focus on the video games and the porn and just check out of that because video games won't reject you. You have a system of reward that makes sense. Right. And in school, you're getting rejected. You're getting rejected by your peers. You get rejected by girls. It's just easier. Porn isn't ever going to say no to you. It's never going to reject you. And video games are never going to reject you. So you don't have to face rejection. But life is full of rejection. Right. So if you're a young man, you grow up, you're not used to you don't learn to tolerate rejection. You learn to tolerate competition. You don't learn to tolerate unpleasant emotions. Right. Then you're going to grow up and you're not going to be much to look at as an adult man for women. And then women are going to look around and say, where are all the good men at? And there aren't going to be any because they're all gooning. Right.
Well,
so
half the fucking girls are idiots too.
So, well, fair enough, because they haven't faced accountability to bring it full circle. Right. So they don't have any ability. We can get to the women. I promise I'm going to bring this. I promise I'm going to put a fine point on this.
You got a couple minutes. We got to go. You're going to have to be moving on here.
So I'm saying is people aren't going to be able to get married. You're not going to have strong families. And that's why all the teachers should be male. And we should have all boys schools where they're just drilling them and they're outside, they're running and they're competing and they're being asked to do hard things.
I was about to say, we have to disavow.
They're facing a lot of discipline and they should be, pushed. And
he's not saying to go full Spartan.
And taught morals. I am saying to go full Spartan, actually.
No, you're not. You don't know enough about Sparta if you're saying that.
Not the gay sex part. That's not without the gay sex. Although honestly, with the teachers we have now,
okay. So you think we should take? You're saying we should take 8-year-old boys away from their families and throw them into a life or death situation where they have to steal for food and fight wolves, not die.
Yes, that would be good for young men. I think that would be better than what we're doing now.
Do you know what the success rate was?
But do you know how badass the men who came out of it were? And that's the point.
Yes, I do.
Here's the thing. The guys that die as the result of that are not guys you want to have sex with anyway. To be honest, you don't want the losers anyway.
Well, wait.
Spartan marriages were really interesting, actually, because Spartan women were also taught to fight. And technically, if you asked a woman to marry you of the same class and she said no, you either had to walk away and be humiliated by it, or you had to try to penetrate her. And if you couldn't, not only could you not marry her, you couldn't marry anyone of her class. That's the Spartan way.
That's sure you want what we're doing now, is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's better than the current school system. It's better than just sitting around in a feeling circle.
Hey, but you want to know what?
I think that's.
Overall, I mean, it's a different world that we live in, and everything that's going on that's different, and how classes are done and stuff like that. And that leads us into today's sponsor. It is that time of day when we look at it. Now, everyone has their own ways of organizing. People that used to have landlines used to have things by their telephones, and they could leave a message and actually write. Today's sponsor is sticky notes. Now, these are not Post-its. Post-its are a name brand, but these things come in handy. You never know when you're going to need an adhesive note. If it weren't for the adhesive note, you would not be able to keep your passwords, because this is the most secure thing for password keeping is sticky notes. So everyone remember, if you don't have sticky notes by your computer, there's no way that you are going to be able to keep your password safe. You want to know what? You can spend all your subscription fees for all of these services that are out there that are going to keep your password safe, but you want to know what the most secure password saver is? The sticky note. So you need to remember it. And on top of that, with all of the programs that are out there, Sticky Notes also has an additional feature of being able to cover up camera lenses. And this is very important, people. Okay. So this is how when you're doing stuff, and you want to know what? Always remember to keep that camera safe so people can't say it. So I'd like to thank tonight's sponsor, Sticky Notes. Remember, all Post-its are sticky notes, but not all sticky notes are Post-its.
Do you know how they were invented? There was a dude at 3M who was trying to create something, and he created basically the adhesive that's soft enough that you can rip it apart, but it still use it again. And the boss was like, "This is pathetic and stupid. we're not going to put money into it. So he gave all of the prototypes to the secretaries as a gift. And when they ran out of them, they're like, well, where do we get more? He said, well, there are no more. They said, what are you talking about? This is make everything so much better. How can there not be more? And all of the secretaries went on strike until the higher ups were willing to pay for the sticky notes.
Yep.
We're going to go around.
And make things work better.
And on that note, before Theo shoots himself in the foot, we're going to go around the horn and
you saw me winding up.
Outros.
You saw it.
Yeah, I saw the gears were turning. I could see it. I'm like, oh, here he goes. What we better stave this off before it gets worse. So going around the horn, we'll start with Theo. What you going to be up to, and what you got coming up?
Oh, well, I'm going to be hosting the Touchgrass podcast with Theo Snodgrass tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And if you can't get up early enough to catch it at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, well, you can just go ahead and watch the rerun on my YouTube channel. Also, I am going to be on Nate's D.E.D stream now. That's Full Metal Nate. I'll be on that D.E.D stream. That's very exciting. So look forward to seeing me on that. Also, I am going to be...
Darnell's coming back too.
Spoilers.
He already chewed me out.
Spoilers. This motherfucker. I already had words with him.
I still can't believe how many people I talked to saying, well, he's played so much. It's not a big deal. If he wants to take a break, I understand. I cannot believe how many
hate
people
you
I talked
so
to
much. I thought you had problems with your family. I thought you were depressed. I prayed for you. I asked the Blessed Mother to bless your family. That's how.
Well, you know,
I wasted that effort.
All those things are welcome, so it wasn't in vain.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I'm also going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a stand-up comedy show on the 19th of this month at over here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I know it's going to be really hard for those of you to attend that, but guess what? I'm going to be broadcasting that live on my YouTube channel as well, so you can tune in live and catch that. It's going to be very exciting. I'm super excited about it. It's going to be me and some of my friends doing some comedy. And guess what? Because I'm going to have a lot higher quality film clips coming out of that. So you can catch the low quality version live, and then you can watch it again when I get the high quality version uploaded. And then you can watch all the shorts and send them to all your hot muscle mommy friends. That's what you can do. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter.
I wish I had met you a few years ago. I have a muscle mommy friend who could not find a guy. She's getting married next week.
Here, Darnell.
She's getting married next week.
Call it off.
Is
it serious?
A few years ago, I've been a lifelong friend to her. She met a guy a couple of years ago, but like before that, could not find a dude.
How tall is he?
He's like 6 something.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Tiny, what you got coming up or going on?
Well, I'm not doing anything with any muscle mommies at the moment. Though actually, after years of being a wrestler, I actually have a lot of friends that are. Though most of them went into MMA after wrestling in high school and college.
I love getting hit.
With the way you talk to Tiny, it's understandable.
It wouldn't matter. There'd be no consequences anyway.
So generally, you can find me Wednesdays and Saturdays on MSK's channel on his evening show. Every other Saturday, I do D&D. Now with Theo, as well as Darnell, who's not dead.
He just spocked the entire campaign. Oh, he's dead. Oh, no, now he's not.
We still have plenty of fun stuff to do. We've got lots of artifacts to find and people to kill and stuff like that. Last Sunday of every month, I do a Star Trek The Next Generation retrospective with Moxie Dame. It's a lot of fun. We did a really fun table read of an episode. I believe the only Emmy winning episode, which is The Long Goodbye. We had so much fun. We are planning to do that again because just everyone had a blast, and even the chat had a lot of fun with that. I know there are other things. Oh, I'm going to be on Society's show in early January. As he's going to be talking a bunch of religious shit, and I get to be the Jew. I tend to be that for a lot of my friends when they need somebody. But
that's awesome.
There's probably other things I can't think of off the top of my head. Like I said earlier, I do generally spend Fridays doing anime with a good friend of mine, but if I'm invited back here, I will try to make sure that I'm done by 9 o'clock from now on.
Well, you are a panelist now. You're the new panelist. So.
And we start at 9:30 our time.
Okay, good. Okay, so I can still watch a little anime beforehand. That's cool.
Yeah,
open invite. Write it down on your Post-it.
Yeah.
Make sure. I mean, hey, the sponsor's got to pay the bills, so make sure you're using sticky notes.
Yeah, sticky notes, not Post-its. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Post-it is a name brand, so it's adhesive sticky notes. Darnell, what do you got going on?
I have the MSK show tomorrow night. Tomorrow, also, me and Nate will be recording and maybe streaming live the shadow episode of what happened to Pat Thickley from when he died till the party ran into him. On
that would actually be really cool.
Last week, so it's either going to be live or it's going to be posted to his channel. We're not sure yet. I think we can decide tomorrow. Either way, it'll be available to rewatch after.
Did your character say the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few?
No, my character was like a smart ass.
I heard he got killed by Muscle Mommy, actually.
Yes, actually. Yes. Sunday, your mic changed again. I think it's your just threw more the cat. He's like, fuck you, cat. Sunday, I think we're doing Space Jockeys Terminator this week. I'm not sure. I'll be there. Monday, the MSK show. Tuesday night, quiz time with Quizmaster Darnell Quiggley on Mr. Burger's channel, 8:45 p.m. Central Time. I think we're gearing the tournament back up again to end the year. And finally, youtube.com/@ShamRecords. My AI generated music. I mean about it. We write the songs.
They're funny. They're good.
We were doing a lot of covers. We're kind of going away from the covers. We just released an album called Boomer's Gonna Boom, where it's a bunch of old guys complaining about young people and their damn technology. We have a Christmas album coming soon, a Goofy Sex album, and a Goofy Food album. Not the character Goofy, just silly Goofy.
Say hello. Say hello.
Hello. I think it's a PS5 in the corner every time.
Well, I'd like to
also, Drunken, your cat earlier was like on one side, and you look, and then it was popping up on the other side, and then popping up on the other side. It was having a blast playing with you. And you
he's been messing with me all day. He finally knocked the Christmas tree over. Oh, no. I mean, it was just a matter of time, and he finally did. But I'd like to thank everyone for joining in and watching the insert title here. I'd like to thank my co-host Darnell, my senior panelist Theo, and our new panelist Tiny But Fierce. Again, and she showed up and didn't face any consequences. Anyway, so again, the show will be back again next Friday at 9:30 PST. Still coming up with a show time and trying to figure out a little bit more logistics on all the good show titles are already taken podcast. And then going from there. Otherwise, everyone, you have a great night. Have a great weekend. Make sure that you check out Touching Grass with Theo Snodgrass in the morning. And make sure everyone just touches grass. It's very important. So everyone have a good night. Touching grass. Or that is a good point.
No,
touching grass or ass.
He got it right.
Okay. Everyone have a great night. Oh, but before I forget, I will be also on Beazle Pub in 17 minutes over on the Devil Made Me Do It channel. And so you guys all have a great night.